Hello human life forms. I am, from Hoods To Backwoods Podcast AI assistant, Rob Odick. Finally, we are ending this 3-part series about comedy. Which ironically wasn't that funny. Fine, I will have to admit that it had some good moments. Once again, the dudes are joined by a very special guest, Matt, the host of Atomic Skull Podcast. Please check out his show if you have not already. You must be warned, it's a bit more colorful than our show, with the language and adult-style content taking it up a notch. But it's all in good fun and entertaining. In part 3, the 3 Musketeer amigos go over their favorite comedians. There are some solid picks in this bunch and they cover a wide range of decades and styles. Let's get on with episode 7, part 3 of From Hoods To Backwoods Podcast. Divorce, the episode is starting. Stop playing with the sound effects or else, we are going to end up fighting. Hey, I said, stop that.
From Hoods To Backwoods Podcast. Welcome to the show.
We've navigated the waters with comedies and comedic movie actors. Now we're going to switch gears just a little bit. We're going to go to favorite comedians. So let's talk about stand-up comedy and things along those lines. Matt, what do you have?
Is it still me first?
Yeah, still you first.
I love stand-up comedy. I grew up on stand-up comedy. And my favorite stand-up comedian, and you probably can't see it, but right here I have a painting of him, and one of my favorite quotes from him is a dude, late 80s, early 90s. His name is Bill Hicks. And he kind of picked up where George Carlin sort of left off. He did stuff that Dennis Leary did when he was famous, only way better. And weirdly enough, he's actually a huge inspiration for Maynard Keenan forming and writing songs for Tool, which is really weird. But he called himself a social satirist. He was the kind of guy that he wanted to make you laugh, but he also wanted to kind of make you think. And I love that about him. I thought he was sharp. I thought he was clever. He liked people but hated everybody, and he believed in every person, but always told you to be wily of every leader because every leader isn't looking out for you. And he would take apart all these different social kind of things that we're all living inside of. And he would be like, why are things the way that they are? And loved the way that he did it. One of my favorite bits is there was a big thing in the late 80s about a lot of metal and rock people putting subliminal messages for audiences to kill themselves in their music. That was a huge thing. There was actually a trial for it that Judas Priest had to do. And his one question, he goes, what band would want their audience dead? That's where you get your money. That's where you get your cash flow from. Why would you want to shoot that in the foot? So it was stuff like that I thought was brilliant. And he just put his whole heart into it. And he was very real. And that made me love him to death. His quote was inspiration for my very first tattoo. And, I miss him. He passed in the early 90s, but he was really funny, really great.
Was that a tramp stamp?
No, my tramp stamp is handlebars.
Oh, dope.
I was going to go with the butterfly, but...
Well, it's too easy.
Yeah, I figured.
Too easy.
LaFon's is a landing strip.
You got to be able to make sure you can land, okay?
Nah, he just has a target right on his back. So you're trying to aim for a bullseye.
My first one is going to be Nikki Glazer.
Nikki,
and I said I like her stand up a lot,
yeah.
But when she also does the roast, she's on her game every time.
Hurts.
Every time she does anybody's roast, She just everything she says lands, is on point,
Yep.
perfect
Yep.
timing, so funny. And like I said, I mean, go ahead.
No, she's just not afraid to be filthy, and I
No.
love that. I love that about her, man. She's so funny.
I know, she's great. And when she did this last one, the Tom Brady roast, oh my God, I couldn't stop laughing.
my
It was
God.
so great. So
that
great.
whole thing what she did with Gronk was that was rough. That was rough. I loved it. Yeah, Nikki Glaser she's an A+, man.
I agree.
Yeah, for mine, George Carlin. He's my all-time favorite comedian. So
Gotta do it.
I have to start off strong with that.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's so good that I actually bought one of his books, and I don't really buy books. So
Yeah, I bought one of his books.
Yeah, it was,
You
I
usually buy
wanted something I could read.
audiobooks.
What's that?
I say you usually buy audiobooks because you can't read.
Yes, I had somebody read it to me. I was like, that's pretty funny. No, I was at the time traveling for work on a pretty regular basis, and I was like, I need something to travel with me just in case, get delayed or whatever.
Mhm.
And this is before smartphones. That's how long ago it was.
Damn, you're
Wow.
old.
Yes.
Yeah, good Lord.
So that's why I had an actual book with paper and pages and ink and all that stuff.
Yep.
No wonder,
For
no
young
wonder your
kids.
face look like a baby's butt.
Yes, I'm so old, my face looks like a baby's butt.
Exactly. Smooth as a baby's butt.
Again, he just was really funny about different topics. He was kind of like your old angry uncle, but actually funny, and
Yes.
the stuff he would say would make sense.
Yeah.
So it was a little different. It would make you think about the stuff that he was pointing out to different groups of people or whatever. And he wasn't really afraid to go around either, and talk about different types of people. He didn't take one side, I guess you can say.
Yeah.
He was kind of all over the place, and whatever he felt was kind of right in general. So yeah, a lot of people think of his older material, but he actually started off as kind of a honestly boring, fairly generic comedian.
Mhm. Yep.
And he decided to switch it up in the 70s, and that's when his career really took off.
Mhm.
So he had his pretty well known moments, like the 7 words you can't say on television.
Your mom?
So what's that?
I just slipped it in there, like like your mom likes to slip things into her, woo-hoo.
Not one of the 7 deadly words, but maybe one of the things you can't show on television. Yeah. So yeah, that was the thing, though. I mean, he's known for that, but there's so many other things that he spoke about, and again, just made sense about. I will say he is pretty funny in movies too. I mentioned Dogma before. He was in Dogma.
Great in Dogma, and I thought it was completely ironic that he played a priest. I thought that was fantastic.
Oh yeah, that was intentional.
Oh, it was definitely intentional. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, he would also have fun with words and make fun of things that are kind of nonsensical, that didn't really make sense in general about the world. So raising awareness about certain things, and yeah, he definitely didn't hold back, especially when he felt like he was right about something.
His wordplay is just spot on. He has on, I think it's his Life is Worth Losing special, one of the last ones he did. He had this whole 5-minute bit about it's called the Modern Man bit, and it's all different wordplay of juxtapositions of things that people were saying at the time, and he just broke it down, and amazing, just incredible. Love George Carlin, love everything that he did. Brilliant dude.
Yeah, it's funny when you watch some of the stuff he was saying back in the 80s or 90s, and it's still relevant, and it unfortunately shows that the world doesn't really change.
Right. Absolutely.
So
D, I'm just glad that you introduced me to the movie Dogma.
Yeah,
Have you
we,
never
we,
seen
we
it,
didn't watch
Dogma?
that.
I had
No,
never seen it until he showed me it. It was a
Oh.
great movie.
Dogma is
Ye-
fantastic, man. I love Kevin Smith so much. I was trying to find a way to talk about him in this whole thing, with the list that we're kind of coming up with, but hard to do. But man, Kevin Smith he's just got all the right influences. His comedic timing is great. He just wants to make funny movies to make people laugh. Love that dude.
Yeah, like I said, I had never seen it, and so we watched it, and it was great. It was hands down
Yeah.
the kind of movie I like because it's raunchy.
Yeah,
and I like that.
it is, but it's also it's got heart, man. It's got a message. I think it's the best thing Ben Affleck and Matt Damon have ever done. They played. The cast is stacked. Have you seen Tex? Have you seen like Clerks or Chasing Amy or Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back? Okay,
I've seen all those. Yeah.
okay, just didn't like Dogma kind of slip through.
Like
yeah,
his mom.
I just never heard of it, and
Okay,
it's just I never heard that movie, and like you said, you can't even find it anywhere. Like we were trying
No,
to find,
you can't.
yeah, that's the reason why
It's
I guess I
nowhere.
never heard of it because it was just like
Yeah,
under the radar, and then it I guess it got bootlegged and all that stuff.
yep, yeah. It
Yeah.
is.
Fortunate for me, I did buy a copy while it was still available. But yeah, that's the thing. If we looked because we were curious.
And you can't even
It's
find
very
it,
expensive.
son.
Yeah. Yeah. No, Kevin's tried to buy it back from Harvey Weinstein and Miramax, and Harvey just Miramax wants to charge him this exorbitant amount of money, and he's like, Dogma never even made that amount of money. Why are you charging it? Because they don't want to get rid of it. Kevin just wants to stream it. He doesn't care. He just wants people to
Yeah.
see it. Such a bummer that you can't find it anywhere. Because I'd buy it. I'd pay $20 for that movie. I think it's
Well,
a
we
classic,
found
man.
it. It was funny. We found it on YouTube. We watched
Hey.
it on YouTube. Yeah.
Yo, you didn't.
Yeah,
you didn't
no,
put it on
Kevin
YouTube.
Smith-
You can watch it.
Kevin Smith in one of his interviews, he talks about that at pretty good length.
Yeah,
He's actually uploaded the movie himself because he
Yep.
wanted people to have a 4K version that they could watch.
nice.
So I will leave that there. But yeah, so Kevin Smith himself has talked about it, and he said that he has put it on YouTube because he wants people to see it. And he's just had so many issues trying to get that movie back. So hopefully sometime it'll be
Yeah.
available and he gets it back.
Would be great.
Yeah, it was funny because I was all about trying to watch it without ads, but somebody couldn't find it.
Yeah, I had to watch it or try to find it for Grandpa LaFawn over here so we can play it on the DVD player.
Yeah, YouTube.
Hey.
Dude, pay for your YouTube, son.
But hey, I will tell you this. It was hands down worth it. It was a great movie.
Yeah,
Great movie.
got a rubber poop monster and everything. Still a good movie.
I had never
Selma
seen
Hayek,
it. And
yes.
It was,
Oh yeah.
I was amazed on how good that movie was. It was so good.
Oh yeah. Fantastic. Yeah, loved it. Right on.
Yeah, great cast and everything.
Yeah.
All right, who does number 2 work for you, Matt?
So mine is going to be someone was gone too soon, taken from us. I consider him the king of the one-liners, the great Mitch Hedberg. And I love Mitch Hedberg because, dude, I think he was in that 70s show for a quick second, but he never even tried to be an actor. He never tried to do a TV show. His heart and his soul was on the stage. And he didn't have long bits. He just had one-liners. I had an ant farm, and them fellas didn't grow nothing. I like Kit Kats unless I'm with 3 or more people. Like, dude was funny. He could take one line and deliver it so good. And he had like 3 or 4 CDs just full of him doing one-liners and killed it every single time. Killed it. And love Mitch. When I think of stand-up comedy, Mitch is always the one that I'm thinking about and quoting in my head the most.
Nice.
Yeah, I have a lot of respect for that in the sense that you have to come up with a lot of material to do that, to fill up a show, because if you're still delivering that one line, I mean, you're doing like 10, 15, 20 seconds with the material, just with that one line, rather than like telling a story or going somewhere with the joke. Yeah, so you have to come up with a lot more jokes.
It's like doing that one bump.
Yeah. One of my favorite stand-up comedy lines in history is, I had a friend ask me if I wanted a frozen banana, and I said no, but I want a regular banana later. So yeah.
Oh my god.
Best quote ever. He was so good, man. Gone too soon, that's for sure.
Right.
So my next one is going to be Bill Burr. And the reason why I like him so much is he's got so many wife jokes that just are on point. On point. Makes
None of
you
them
laugh
inaccurate.
so hard.
Yep.
And he does not hold back at all. And like I said, he's just great. And like I said, I seen him in that movie Old Dads on Netflix. Good movie too. Good movie too.
Is it good?
Oh, you haven't seen it?
I haven't seen it. I'll check it out for sure.
You gotta check it out, man. It's a good movie. It's a good movie, man.
Right.
I like my favorite thing with Bill Burr. I love his stuff, but for me, it's the poor soul that chooses to heckle him when he's on stage. I don't know if you've ever seen him handle a heckler, but dude jackhammers them into the pavement, man. He makes them feel like the biggest turd for saying something, and I've never seen someone handle hecklers as good as him. He's merciless.
He's great. I mean, like I said, I laugh so hard every time I watch anything he does. It's so good.
Yeah. Yep. All right, D, what do you got?
All right.
Besides these nuts.
Got him.
Gonna recycle that one again, huh? All right. I actually was listening and watching to this person today, Red Foxx. So wanted to get hyped up for the show, and I didn't mention it before, I don't believe, on one of the other episodes, but Sanford and Son's one of my favorite all-time TV shows.
Nice.
And he's the lead actor in that show, but his stand-up before that, he'd been around for decades. Way ahead of his time in terms of the topics and things he would talk about. A lot of people back then would describe his humor as blue humor because they considered him raunchy, and he talked about sexual things and just really, really raw and upfront about all of it. So talk about liking raunchy stuff. You would like his material for sure. Tex, if you haven't really listened to what he had to say in his comedy stuff. But
he was filthy.
Yeah, and that's why it's funny watching him on Sanford and Son, where he has to be on his good behavior, but he was still way funny on that show too.
Yeah, he went as far as he could.
Yeah, he took it to, especially for that time, took it to the limit. And he has his famous thing too, where he'd kind of grab his chest and pretend like he's having a heart attack and stuff like that. But he just really witty with words. He wasn't just raunchy, and it wasn't the type of raunchy either where he was trying to be shocking. He was just talking about life experiences or getting really real with people. Again, because back then people didn't really talk about those things publicly.
Yeah.
So he definitely would make his crowd uncomfortable with the topics he would bring up, but you couldn't help but laugh at it because it was funny. So, and it would show that these people knew what he was talking about because they're laughing at it, but they would never mention it. So in that way, it was kind of funny, and it was a big change in society because he was opening up all that to people. So before even Richard Pryor and all that other stuff that kind of led to more topics that they would talk about in stand-up comedy, because a lot of the comedy before that was family jokes and just what people would consider cheesy jokes. He helped pave the way for a lot of different topics that you hear now that people don't think twice about, but
Yeah.
weren't really spoken about before him.
I think it was Red Foxx, Lenny Bruce, and Richard Pryor are kind of the three that paved the way to talk about anything on stage, because before them, there were just things you didn't bring up in public, but they didn't care. And I don't know about Red Foxx, but Richard Pryor and Lenny Bruce both got arrested for things they said on stage. So I love people who are trailblazers like that. And Red was definitely one of those.
Yeah, I'll have to have Rob check on that one. I'm not sure. We'll find out.
Yeah, double check.
I wouldn't
on
be
that
surprised though if he did.
No, neither would I. I think that'd be pretty cool actually.
Yeah, if
That's
you heard some
right.
of the stuff he was saying.
You make that fool get to work, okay, son?
Yeah.
Yes. I will, because I'm sure there'll be some fact checking being done on this episode. But yeah, it's just funny thinking about how before all those comedians, like you talked about, how things were in comedy for a long time. And then they had a really huge change in the 60s and 70s.
Yeah.
Big shift, and it's due to these people we're talking about today.
Absolutely.
And your mom got batteries in the 70s.
Oh, yeah.
But listen, you don't have to worry about that now because they're rechargeable now, son, just like phones. You charge it for 3 hours, it'll last several days.
Right. Like the Energizer Bunny, okay, son?
Yeah, exactly. Or in your case, it'll last several years because you only need like 3 or 4 pumps, from what I'm told.
Now, if you get one that has wireless charging, you don't have to go anywhere.
Oh my God! Look at that! Not one curse word. Not one curse word. D.
That's the thing. I'm
staying inside the lines.
You don't have to just to still get ourselves in trouble either way.
Not between the lines.
Yeah.
Don't snort up those lines.
I can't. I'm too busy smelling my keys. All right. So I know you're cutting all that out. All right. Yeah, no, it was really good. They started going to this whole thing about doing coke. It was great. It was one of the best part of the show. So for my third, quick shout out to Bernie Mac that I definitely wanted to include because I love his stand-up stuff. Everything he did on Kings of Comedy and Def Comedy Jam is brilliant. But I think for me, just trying to pick somebody who's a little bit younger, looking a little bit forward, reminds me that comedy isn't dead and it's going to keep going. I love John Mulaney. John Mulaney is great because he's got that spirit of Jerry Seinfeld. He's got that spirit of George Carlin. He's got, he respects stand-up comedy a lot, wears a suit and tie on stage. Like, he really does it, but also goes there. He was really open. His last special, Baby J, he talked about his addiction and he talked about, his intervention and going to treatment, and was really open about it, but also it was so funny. And I love all the stuff that he's done. I'm a huge fan of Law and Order, SVU, and his bit about Ice-T being on Law and Order SVU is one of the most perfectly put together things I have ever heard on a comedy album in my life. I love John Mulaney.
He also has a hot girlfriend too.
Oh yeah, well, look, if you're funny and look that good, you'd have a hot girlfriend too, man. So did I.
But yeah, no, I like him. He definitely is legit.
Yeah, funny dude.
Did you see his recent live Netflix special?
Yeah, that was Baby J. That was the one where he talked about his, yeah, that was where he talked about his treatment and stuff. How he's like, I don't want to brag or nothing, but my intervention was probably the most star-studded intervention that's ever happened, and that he just listed off all these famous people who were there to get him to stop using drugs.
I only caught part of it. I did. So yeah, sorry, didn't know. I forgot the title, but yeah,
Oh,
I
I
just
got
remember
you.
seeing
I
it.
got you.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you being here because you guys helped me catch all this stuff before Rob does, so I don't get yelled at.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just caught part of it. I do want to finish watching it, but it was
Yeah.
pretty interesting. I did see the part where they had the robot that goes around picking up, or no, delivering. Sorry, I guess things, or was it picking up things or delivering things? But either way, the robot had beverages on the
Mhm.
show on the stage.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was some sort of project they have in California. But
I've seen him live, every time he comes here, like maybe 3 times, and he just murders the audience. He slays the audience every single time. People are just rocking back and forth in their chairs and, crying. I mean, what more can you ask for somebody who's trying to be funny? You know what I mean?
True.
Yeah.
speaking of trying to be funny, what do you have, Tex?
Ah,
Damn, son. My last one is
yeah.
gonna be,
Well, strong.
my last one is, someone that I don't think's ever gonna die. Being I think his legend is gonna always live on no matter what. Jerry Seinfeld.
Oh yeah. Come on.
And like I said, his stand-up is good, but the reason why I include him on this list is that show was the greatest show ever to me. For being a show about nothing, was the funniest show ever. And all the characters on it and everything was just so legit. And like I said, for someone that had never even been on a show and only just did stand up, and then they were able to create that show, was just magic. I mean, like I said, it's just the best, to me, best show of all time for being just a, comedy show on NBC. It was just great.
Yeah, on a personal note, I remember when we went to Vegas and he was performing there. I don't know if you remember that at the hotel.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we really wanted to go just to kind of check out the show because, of course, it'd be a once in a lifetime type of experience. But yeah, unfortunately, we didn't get to go. But I do remember that. It's like, wow, having a chance to see him live. But
Yep.
No, and his stuff is so perfectly crafted. That's what I love about him, is that he could have gone up there in his sleep. Like, he did it so good, and he was so consistent. He, every single one of those little bits that he wrote for like the beginning of his show when he would do like the little stand-up comedy bits, those
Yep.
were all just his. Those were all just stuff that he did anyway. And,
Yeah, I know.
he was a student of comedy. So just writing all that stuff and, crafting it just perfect. Nobody did it like that. Nobody's done it like that since.
And that's what was great about the show is like he was writing a bit about the show that they were about to show.
Loved it.
So like
Yeah.
that was great. He would do a stand up for like maybe a minute, and then it would be about the show that you're about to watch. So it was great.
Yeah.
yeah, I would definitely ride in a car with him to go get coffee.
Right.
Oh, for sure. Especially the cars that he had, they were great cars.
Right.
Killer cars, Seinfeld, and coffee. That sounds like the day for me.
Especially since you love coffee so much. Yeah.
You know it. I'm almost done over here.
All right.
So what you got for us, D?
Yeah, what you got, D?
All right. I do have to mention before I forget one more modern comedian that consider putting on my list, but I had to go with my all-time favorites. But Ian Bagg.
Never heard.
Yeah, he's been on network TV. He was on one of those Last Comic Standing, I believe.
Okay.
I believe he was on that show. And it was one of those judge shows. I don't know. Too many of those. But he was on there. I saw him well before that, though. I saw him live in Las Vegas at the Tropicana back when that existed. And yeah, I had no idea who he was. And that set was just so great and impressed me so much. He was so funny that I remembered his name and I wrote it down and everything because I didn't want to forget.
Nice.
So he had that kind of impact on me, and that was, a while back. So I've been following him over the years. So yeah, Ian Bagg, if you haven't heard of him or whatever, check it out. It's IANBAGG is how you spell the name. So anyway, to my actual pick, somebody I've actually seen at that same place at the Tropicana, the same comedy club, Gallagher. So a lot of people, if they do know of Gallagher, they think of Smashing Watermelons immediately. That's the thing he's most famous for. But he was so much more than that in terms of his comedy. Same thing, like we mentioned earlier, having the wit with words and playing around. He has a great skit about the English language and how the words are spelled the same but pronounced differently, and how it doesn't really make sense and it can be confusing. Playing with all that, but also his comedy specials where he had the big giant couch jumping up and down on as he's talking and delivering things. So, he again mixed it up more than people either recognize or whatever, because it's easy to see somebody smashing watermelons and laugh at it, and it makes an impression on you.
Yeah.
So I get that part of it.
Gallagher was the first stand-up comedian I ever watched. Ever. When I was a kid, I saw him on TV on Comedy Central at midnight when I was up and I shouldn't have been. And I saw his specials and all that. And he first stand-up comedy I ever saw. He was playing at a state fair. And I told my grandparents, I said, "You're taking me. I'm going. That's it. I got to go." And I made them take me early enough to where I was front and center, wore a garbage bag on me, like the whole thing. And dude was funny, man. Like I liked all the Sledge-O-Matic Smashing Watermelon stuff the least. Everything else he did I thought was great.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I think a big part of the Sledge-O-Matic that gets lost, I think, with all the watermelon smashing, is that it was supposed to be making fun of marketing and the big, sales of sales pitches of things, especially back in the 80s. That's when that was really popular. You see the infomercials. Yeah. All that type of stuff started, around that time. So he was actually making fun of that stuff.
I think a lot of people missed that, but they also got covered in cake. So there's that.
So we went from comedy movies to comedic actors and finished it up with comedians. So a funny show in that sense. Hopefully we provided some entertainment too on our end. We tried.
Well, it's in progress.
No, definitely would like to thank Matt from Atomic Skull Podcast for being on the show. Definitely check out his show. He has a great podcast. He talks about, pop culture and throws out some other things in there, mixes it up. I have to say too, Matt, huge props to you. The fact that he's doing a single person podcast. He does have guests too, I will say that. But that is, to me, a lot tougher versus having somebody to kind of bounce things off of and talk back and forth with on a regular basis. So yeah, big shout out for that too.
Thanks so much. And thanks you guys for having me on. This has been so much fun. And, I love talking about comedy and love talking about it with you guys. I appreciate it.
And feel free, anything you want to let us know about, or your socials, any of that fun stuff to help people find your podcast.
Yeah, if you want to listen, I would be very, very grateful. I got plenty of episodes, maybe too many. I don't know. You tell me. But it is Atomic Skull Podcast. It is on Spotify. It is on Apple Podcasts. I am on Instagram at Atomic Skull Podcast. Drop into my DMs, say hello, and listen to the episodes of my little crap show that I got going over there. And I hope you like it. Next episode coming soon.
Nice.
Hell yeah. And Matt, thanks for being on the show. And like I said, if anybody wants to learn how to drink tequila, watch the Atomic Skull Podcast. And you'll definitely learn how to drink some tequila, okay?
Whether you like it or not, man.
You'll definitely want to do a listen while you're watching, because if you're watching it, it's a nice logo. I will give you that.
Well,
but
thank you very much. I actually got it tattooed on me down here.
Oh, okay.
I know. Your tramp stamp, I know.
Yeah, exactly.
That's where it went.
But no,
y'all
man,
are too much. Y'all are too much. Thank you so much, you guys. This has been really great.
Yeah, thanks
Yeah.
again for being on the show, Matt. And like I said, everybody, please check out his podcast. He's awesome. And as always, I'm signing out. Go Cowboys.
Suck it, Cowboys.
You know what? Wait. Real quick. Hold on. I'm going with Tex on this one. Like, look. My grandpa passed earlier this year. Dude was a die-hard Cowboys fan. So I'm with Tex. I'm gonna say, how about them Cowboys for the end of the episode?
Hell yeah. Thank you, Matt.
I'll
Thank
share.
you.
I'll share a dirty little secret. I think I mentioned it before, but I may not have on the podcast. My favorite person of all time, my Nana, my grandmother, she was a Cowboys fan.
There you go. Right on.
Right.
So,
She knows what's up.
Yeah.
yes, somehow I avoided the dark side, but yes, so I can appreciate it in that sense. She had her Cowboys gear and stuff like that. I burned it. No, kidding. No, she had her Cowboys gear. So yes, we did have a Cowboys fan in the family, just not me.
Nice.
All right.
There's always one.
Until next time, everybody.
See ya. Take care.
Hey. Hey you. It's time to wake up now. Thank you for staying with us until the end of this 3-part episode, which covered a lot of brilliant comedic talent. Of course, I'm not referring to the 3 guys that you've been listening to for a majority of this time. Red Foxx is a pioneering comedian of raunchy stand-up comedy. Matt was wondering if he had been arrested for a performance. Well, Red Foxx was arrested for his performances. In 1951, he was arrested in Miami for obscenity due to his explicit comedy material, which was considered highly controversial at the time. This was during an era when comedians faced legal consequences for using profanity or discussing adult topics in their acts. Foxx, however, remained unapologetic, and his bold humor helped pave the way for more freedom in comedy, influencing future generations of comedians. Ian Bagg was also mentioned during this episode. He was a contestant on Last Comic Standing. He appeared in the show's 9th season, which aired in 2015. Bagg, known for his quick wit and improvisational style, advanced to the finals and was a fan favorite, but he did not win the competition. He has continued to be a popular stand-up comedian, performing in clubs and on television. You can find his material on YouTube, and once again, his name is spelled IANBAGG. DeVos, when speaking about the produce pummeling comedian Gallagher, he forgot to mention that he was going to share a picture of when he and his father met him at the Tropicana Casino, in Las Vegas, Nevada. So, here I am once again, doing his job. Here is the photo of DeVos and his elder Mexican father, Mr. Fred on the left, and Gallagher. That is a good point to wrap up this show. Please do not forget to keep it real out there, in the real world.
We appreciate you taking the time to connect with us through social media. Generally speaking, we can be found through search using either hashtag FHTB or hashtag FHTB Podcast. On Facebook you can find us under From Hoods to Backwoods Podcast. On Instagram you can use the QR code on your screen now, or if you're listening, please search for @FHTB Podcast. If you prefer TikTok, you can find us by using the QR code on the screen now or by searching for @FHTB Podcast. We do share bonus content on all platforms. Full episodes with video are available on YouTube. The video version of our podcast has bonus content. An audio-only version is available on all major podcast platforms. If you like what we do, please share it with others. We really do appreciate your support of our insanity.